The 2006 documentary film An Inconvenient Truth focused on former Vice President Al Gore's efforts to educate people about climate change.
Now, a decade later, there's a follow-up documentary that shows Gore's ongoing battle.
The most criticized scene in the movie An Inconvenient Truth was showing that the combination of sea level rise and storm surge would flood the 9/11 memorial site. And people said, what a terrible exaggeration.
Hurricane Sandy slammed into New York City last night, flooding the World Trade Center site.
An Inconvenient Sequel, Truth to Power, follows Gore around the world as he trains an army of activists and tries to influence international climate policy.
Joining us now on Mid-Morning is Bonni Cohen Jon Shenk, the filmmakers behind the new documentary. Thank you both so much for coming in.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Bonni, I'll start with you. So this film really gave you a chance to look back over the last 10 years and look at what has been going right when it comes to climate change and what hasn't been going so right. What did you find?
You know, this last decade since An Inconvenient Truth came out and really kind of sparked the global warming conversation, not only in this country but around the world, it was a real lightning rod. It was a moment in time where everybody sat up and took notice. 10 years later, what we need to look at is how far have we gone? You know, there were a lot of predictions that Al Gore made at that time in 2006. So the new film looks at what those predictions were, how far we've come, and unfortunately, climate-related weather events are even more extreme than predicted. Floods, droughts, the kinds of hurricanes that are making landfall now, it's a crisis. Yeah. But at the same time, the solutions are really in place now as opposed to a decade ago, to help turn things around.
In the video, I had a chance to see the film yesterday. I mean, you're getting a little look at it right now. It's striking, but also you showed some of those severe weather events, and you're just like taken aback by watching them in succession. But there were some real positive moments, and John, the renewable energy especially was something that really stuck out to me. It was a real success.
Yeah, we were quite surprised to learn what's happened in the last 10 years. You know, 10 years ago when the first film came out, the solutions to the climate crisis were really something on the horizon. We could hope that these technologies would improve and get cheap enough that they'd actually be a part of the solution. Today, it's as cheap, if not cheaper, to get electricity from solar and wind than it is from coal and other fossil fuel sources. So there really is a choice now between doing things the old way that's got us into this mess and moving into the future.
And Bonni, we were just talking before, during the break, that the Paris Climate Accord, that was such a huge step, big step, but now the Trump administration has withdrawn the United States. You wanted to make sure that this was a part of the film. Why do you think it's so important?
Well, back in December 2015, when the Paris Climate Accord was signed, it was the first time that countries from around the world really got together in some kind of agreement and made commitments, real commitments to, move the needle on the climate crisis together. And it's a very complicated process that we've been trying to get to for many, many years. And so when President Trump pulled out, it was devastating to those that were involved in the accord, but also devastating to populations around the world that the United States would not be standing by those commitments. However, governors and mayors stood up in response. You're a good governor here, Governor Dayton in Minnesota, many governors around the country and mayors stood up and said, you know what, though, we're still going to keep to the work that we're doing to move the needle on the climate crisis.
Well, congratulations on the film. It really is just beautiful. And I was also surprised, too, by how much you get to really connect with Vice President Al Gore. Throughout the process, you feel his plight with him along the way. So.
Yeah, people are going to be surprised at how close you get to Al Gore and just the emotional intensity that he has for solving the climate crisis.
Well, if you would like to see it, An Inconvenient Sequel, Truth to Power, opens in theaters tomorrow in New York and LA and here in the Twin Cities on August 4th.
Thank you guys for coming in.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.